Australia, New Zealand, and India. And ASEAN will have half of the global population, over 3 billion people. And it will be the biggest FTA in the world. Also, the economy of ASEAN is huge. Can you imagine ASEAN, China, India, how many people? 1.3 billion. China, 1.3 billion. ASEAN, 600 million plus. Japan, over 100 million. South Korea, all this. Australia, New Zealand also. Australia has one of the biggest economy in the Asia Pacific as well. So we're going to have huge economy, huge population, huge consumer base. But on the other hand, America is trying to establish TPP. You must have heard of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. And they have reached the agreement already. They have signed the agreement early this year in February. They have reached the agreement on TPP. And ASEAN is designed to be completed this year as well. So this kind of two FTAs, big FTA agreements are competing with each other. For the TPP, Thailand and China are not part of TPP, or nor Indonesia. But Malaysia, Brunei, Singapore, Vietnam, they are part of TPP, Japan. And also some Latin American countries like Chile, for example. But the future of TPP is still uncertain because U.S. Congress has not ratified the TPP yet. And U.S. will have the next general election in November this year. So we don't know yet who will become the new president. If Donald Trump wins the election race, then he will throw away TPP, he said. He will throw the TPP agreement on the garbage bin. And he said he may also scrap NAFTA, North American Free Trade Area. So Donald Trump is someone who can change the whole thing. But if Hillary Clinton wins the election, she may, I think she may keep the TPP, but she may modify it. She may negotiate for some kind of amendments, but trying to keep it on track, I think, because that was the initiative of Obama, and Clinton may have to keep it because she's part of the Obama's government as well. But for ASEAN, it's nothing. For ASEAN, it's driven by China. TPP is more or less driven by Japan. These two countries are competing each other. When you look at the East Asian region, you have to understand that Japan and China have been competitors for thousands of years. And they had big conflicts in the past. Japan used to invade China, and the Chinese people had hostile feeling towards Japanese. So in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN countries, we have to maintain the right balance between Japan and China. We could not choose side because Japan is very influential in the economic areas of ASEAN. It's a major investor, major trading nation as well. and is one of the global player in the world economy. And China is so close to ASEAN. China has a lot of political and economic influence. Also, we have a lot of Chinese diasporas in all ASEAN countries. So the Chinese government has a lot of influence on the Chinese people. So with this kind of intense competition between China and Japan, ASEAN countries have to try the right balance between China, India, and other global players. The first, when ASEAN made decision to start economic integration or economic cooperation, it made this decision based on a report commissioned by the UN. It's called the Gansu Report in 1972. The Gansu Report recommended ASEAN countries to engage in regional economic cooperation for the first time. And ASEAN adopted the report. I will tell you a little bit about the report because it was very political. Before ASEAN could come to this agreement, it had a lot of negotiation, a lot of disputes. This report, entitled Economic Cooperation Among Member Countries of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it features regional market integration with only product from import substituting industries. So basically the report recommended that ASEAN set up the ISI policy or import substituting industrial policy. Because at the time most countries in ASEAN are agricultural based economies. They don't have many industries. They still grow rice, palm oil and rubber. They export these commodities except for Singapore. So the UN said ASEAN should try to build industrial base. There are policies recommended. Each country creates a list and cuts the tariff in stages, while aiming towards a free trade area as a long-term goal. So the idea of the FTA came with this report already, long time ago. Package deal agreement systems, ASEAN countries jointly allocate and implement several new large-scale projects. So the idea is that each country has different industries. Thailand has like potash, potash industry, for example. Indonesia has another one. The Philippines has sugar industry, for example. So every country focus on different industries so that they would not compete with each other. Also, complementary agreements system in which each country specializes in its existing products, and they can trade these different products in exchanges. So ASEAN countries adopted a report in 1974 at the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting, and they set up the ASEAN Economic Ministerial Meeting or AEM in 1975 to work on the ASEAN's economic cooperation. And the summit or ASEAN leaders adopted the report in 1976 at its first meeting. So you see, AMM adopted first, and then they set up AEM to work on it. AEM then submit the report to the ASEAN leaders to approve. There are many factors which influence ASEAN to adopt the report. In the early 1970s, there was a big global oil crisis. At the time, OPEC was set up. When OPEC was formed, the oil prices skyrocketed. วิกฤตน้ำมันวิกฤตพลังงานครั้งที่หนึ่ง So the oil crisis caused global economic recession. Because of global inflation, oil prices jumped, and ASEAN economy suffered because of the oil crisis. So they have to work on cooperation to reduce impact of the global recession. Also, at the time, there were conflict between the North and the South. The North means the developed economies, the South means the less developed economies or the poor countries, the rich and the poor countries. The poor countries, mostly developing economies, said the global economy is not fair. It caused a lot of development gaps between the rich and the poor. So we have to change the whole way of doing things. We have to modify the global economic strategies to narrow development gap between countries. Also, we need to expand the markets of ASEAN by having intra-regional economic cooperation to expand the consumer market. Also, during this time, Vietnam became communist country already in 1975, and Laos and Cambodia also became communist countries. So ASEAN has to deepen its cooperation, to make ASEAN stronger. But the adoption of the Gansu report didn't come without problems, because we had conflicts among ASEAN member states. For example, the Philippines under Marcos said we should have FTA. Marcos said we should have free trade agreement. And the idea won support from Singapore and Thailand. So these three countries wanted to have FTA. But and Krit Pramod, Thai Prime Minister, and President Marcos, they signed a joint communique in 1975 saying that they would establish FTA. Singapore also supported the idea and offered to reduce tariff of ASEAN goods. But this kind of proposal was rebuked by Indonesia. The Indonesian government came out to attack the FTA idea. Indonesian technocrats asserted that Indonesia would not be interested in FTA for the next 100 years. So it's impossible for the FTA for ASEAN. You see, at the time the FTA idea was so new and it was too ahead of its time. So in the end, these countries, they try to work out compromises, and in the end they could agree on adopting the report without mentioning about FTA. So the adoption of the report came with the Declaration of ASEAN Concord in 1976 to establish ASEAN Regional Economic Cooperation. We call that Concord 1 because 2 decades afterwards, ASEAN has ASEAN Concord 2 to declare the establishment of the ASEAN community. Yeah. This is the main timeline of ASEAN cooperation. The Bali Concord 1 adopted the economic cooperation. 1992, ASEAN Free Trade Agreement or AFTA was agreed upon. The idea of having AFTA is another big move of ASEAN to eliminate the tariff among ASEAN countries. The idea was first created by 2 countries that were Indonesia, Thailand and Singapore. At the time, Prime Minister Nan Panjarachun and Lee Kuan Yew, they think that ASEAN should move forward. ASEAN should not allow investors to move to other regions, especially China. China was booming, and a lot of investment from foreign country went to China, and ASEAN lost its shine because ASEAN has small markets, and if we don't have AFTA, then each country has too small market. We need to create a big market enough to attract foreign investment. So AFTA was promoted, and the negotiation of AFTA was launched in 1993. But in 1997-1998, we had a big crisis like Tom Yam Goong disease in Thailand, and also it spread to other regions. So the crisis delayed implementation of AFTA. So it also weakened ASEAN economy. And because of that, ASEAN government decided to set up we call ASEAN Vision Group, like consisting of technocrats, academics, ASEAN strategists from around the region to brainstorm and think about ASEAN future. What kind of future ASEAN would be to make ASEAN a vibrant region and also attractive region for global investors. So the ASEAN Vision Group, they work out recommendation called ASEAN Vision 2020. And this Vision 2020 saying that ASEAN should set up the ASEAN community in the year 2020. So in the year 2003, we had the Bali Concord II, the launch of the ASEAN community by the year 2020. But later on, ASEAN government decided to accelerate ASEAN community from 2020 to 2015 to make it faster, because the world has emerging regional initiatives like NAFTA, enlargement of the EU, and Mercosur, and other regional FTA agreements. So ASEAN could not delay it. ASEAN has to rush to make it quicker so that ASEAN could compete with other regions. That's why it wants as committee to be faster, to move forward 5 years of AC. Also, ASEAN agreed to have the ASEAN Charter process, and the Charter was drafted and adopted in the year 2008. It took 3 years from the launch of ASEAN Charter process to complete. Also, ASEAN later on set up the ASEAN Political Community